Hi guys, this is gsn1.com and I'm here with the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4. So, fresh after testing the Z Fold 4, it's time to handle the clamshell. The brand new clamshell priced at around $800, one that comes with an improved CPU, an improved main camera, and some changes towards the design. It also has a new set of colors and also some other changes related to the battery life, which are positive. So, we're dealing with a flagship foldable clamshell phone with a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 CPU, and it's time for the review. Now, the design itself hasn't changed very much from the Z Flip 3. The format is the same, the measurements of the screens are the same. However, as you can see, the back panel is not glossy anymore, it's matte now. And at the same time, I should mention that the frame is a bit flatter, which makes the phone easier to wield. Now, when you open it up, it measures 6.9mm in thickness, being a rather slim device, as slim as the predecessor, and when you close it up, it's going to be between 15.9 and 17mm in thickness. It's a rather light phone at 187 grams, and it's only 4 grams heavier than the predecessor. Now, the screen you can see here, its protection is made of plastic. It doesn't have any sort of extras this time, so just a plastic layer on top of the foldable panel. At the back side we find Gorilla Glass Victus Plus this time around, and we have an aluminum frame here, plus IPX8 certification for water resistance up to 1.5 meters in depth. This is actually armor aluminum for the frame, tougher to drops and scratches. Now, I would say that the format feels rather similar in your hand. It's a long phone when opened up and highly compact when closed and easy pocketable. I should also probably mention that yes, you do feel and you do see the crease of the screen here, particularly on a darker background. Now, when everything's said and done, the biggest advantage is that you can have both, I would say, a regular size phone, 6.7 inches, and when you're done, you can close it and put it in your pocket with ease. Now, I think it's time to discuss the screens. Obviously, I'm going to start with the main one first, the foldable one, 6.7 inches, 2640 over 1080 pixel resolution, 120 Hz refresh rate, and also HDR10 Plus support. Reaches up to 1200 nits. Now, the cover screen hasn't changed. It's got the same 1.9 inch diagonal as the predecessor. This one is a Super AMOLED, just so you know. The other one was also an AMOLED. It has a resolution of 512 over 260 pixels, and it has Gorilla Glass Victus Plus for its protection. Now, aside from that, it's a cover screen, so it has limited functionalities. The core one, the main one, remains the most important. And let's actually see how it can handle the day-to-day video playback with this test clip we have here. Okay, so as you can see, the regular playback experience involves two black bars on the left and right, but you can get rid of that with a zoom. Of course, once you zoom in, you lose some of the content at the top and bottom. Now, the bezels are a bit slimmer this time around, although not by a huge margin, and I would say that the cutout here in the punch hole for the selfie camera is medium sized. Not the biggest in the world, but also not the smallest. And to be honest, while watching a video, I don't exactly notice the crease down the middle. We have wide viewing angles, excellent color calibration. This one is a bright panel, and it can even take quite a bit of sun. When I say that, I mean we tested the brightness here, and we achieve a pretty impressive 530 lux units, which is superior to the predecessor's 458. But when the phone is pushed with a special mode, which is called extra brightness, it goes to a crazy 900 lux, which beats most of the phones on the market. It's a very impressive value, and just so you know, the external screen reaches around 250 lux. So I'm pretty impressed. Overall, if you count the extra brightness mode here, we actually beat rivals at the Huawei P50 Pocket and also the Motorola Moto Razr 5G. So definitely a bright screen, especially if you push it all the way to the max. And we have some extra settings here for brightness, cover screen, adaptive brightness, the extra brightness. These are the refresh rate settings, 120 Hz or standard 60 Hz, and the color modes, vivid, natural, plus the white balance slider. Now, we're done with the screen. We're pretty impressed by both of them. We'll cover the functionality of the secondary one later on, and now it's time to address the internals of the phone. starting with a brand new Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 CPU made by TSMC 4nm octa-core. It's been present recently on gaming phone mostly, and it's a jump of 3 generations. The predecessor has Snapdragon 888, then we had 888 Plus, and then 8 Gen 1. In the current case, we have the version with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage, LPDDR5 and UFS 3.1. We don't have a micro SD and we also don't have a lag. You can run any game you want here, but be advised, it's a slim phone, so if you go past 30-40 minutes, there may be some heat in intensive games like Apex Legends Mobile. We also did a bunch of benchmarks, so let's see how those panned out. We start with Antutu 9, where I would say we scored decently, just above the Oppo Find N, 836k points, and above the OnePlus 10T with a similar CPU. It's below the Galaxy Z Fold 4 and the Poco F4 GT in Antutu 9. Geekbench 5 multicore shows us a value which is quite impressive, above the Galaxy Z Fold 4 if you can believe it, and above the Asus ROG Phone 5 Pro. But at the same time below the iPhones from last year and below the Zenfone 9 from Asus. Now in Geekbench, as you can see, we're doing very well on the 7th spot, beating even the Galaxy Z Fold 4 and the Asus ROG Phone 5 Pro, but we stayed below the Asus Zenfone 9 and the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Let's see how we did in the gaming department. 3D Mark Slingshot Extreme ES 3.1. We beat the Galaxy S21 and the Huawei P50 Pocket, but we stayed below the Oppo Find N and the Galaxy Z Fold 3. And not a very impressive GPU performance here, but it may also be influenced by the resolution of the screen, which is, I would say, rather low by current standards. Now, when everything's said and done, it feels like top 10 or top 20 material. And when it comes to the temperature, we achieved 37.3 degrees Celsius when charging, 39.9 in benchmarks, which is close to the threshold but not there, 37.5 in games, which is obviously by no means overheating, so we're doing fine. When it comes to the battery life, here we have an upgrade. First of all, the battery capacity itself has been upgraded. It went from 3300 mAh on the Z Flip 3 to 3700 on the Z Flip 4. The charge was also upgraded from 15 watts to 25 watts. We also have 15 watt wireless charging and even reverse charging, while the actual tests are here. We achieved 14 hours and 46 minutes of video playback, which is pretty solid. We actually beat rivals with similar formats like the Moto Razr 5G and the Galaxy Z Flip 3, but we stayed below the Huawei P50 Pocket by just a few minutes, and below the OnePlus 10T with a similar CPU, and below the Z Fold 4. But overall, a pretty good value. Continuous usage is actually more impressive because it's 11 hours and 6 minutes, courtesy of the benchmark PC Mark. It beats Huawei P50 Pocket and the Z Flip 3 by about 3 hours, plus the Moto Razr 5G. It's below the original Z Flip and below the Galaxy S22 Plus as well as the OnePlus 10T. The charging is a bit on the long side, took us 1 hour and 41 minutes. We don't have a bundle charger in the box, and after 30 minutes we achieved 38% charge. When it comes to acoustics, we have a stereo setup which is comprised of these small holes here. And we don't have holes here, but we rather are using the earpiece placed right here above the selfie camera. Now the settings are as usual for Samsung generous when it comes to acoustics. You go straight here, find Dolby Atmos for gaming, an equalizer with genres and 9 custom channels. And Dolby Atmos itself brings sub modes like auto, movie, music and voice. We have a tune prepared for you so we can enjoy those stereo speakers. Okay, so we're done with this teeny song. So what we gather here is that the bottom speaker is doing the heavy lifting. We also have a pretty satisfying sound, not much bass, didn't quite feel that. Good high notes, good voices, particularly the voices. A lot of vibration of the back shell. It's a well-balanced sound, but overall I think it needs a bit more bass, but I'm actually happy with the volume. We also have some tests with a decibel meter here. Let's see what happened there. So we first use an acoustic sample and achieve 73.9 decibels at the top. and 89.4 decibels at the bottom, which is a huge difference in value, meaning that the top speaker is nowhere near to match the bottom speaker in volume. And with the bottom value, we actually surpassed Galaxy Z Flip 3, Huawei P50 Pocket and Moto Razr 5G, the main rivals, but we stayed below some other phones, like 70 of them, like the Vivo V23 or Asus Zenfone 7 Pro. In games, we actually did fine, close to the threshold we like so much, 100 decibels, at around 98.3 decibels, which means we once again beat the Z Flip 3 predecessor with 9 decibels and also the biggest rival Huawei P50 Pocket. We are below Moto Razr 5G and also the Motorola Edge 30 Pro, but still pretty solid set of speakers, although the bottom one is definitely much more powerful. No audio jack, by the way, and obviously also no headphones, but we do have some AKG tuning courtesy of Samsung. Now, as far as the camera is concerned, here we have in a punch hole a 10 megapixel camera, which is pretty much the same as the predecessor one, with fixed focus and 4K video capture. And if you go to the back side, you have a dual camera, and what has changed is the main sensor. It's now a 12 megapixel shooter with optical image stabilization, borrowed from the S20 and S21, and it has a larger size, sensor size, and larger pixel size. Then you have the ultra wide camera, 12 megapixel, and an LED flash here, plus the promise of 4K 60 frames per second capture, which is actually delivered. We don't have 8K here, feels like a bit overkill. And then we have the large variety. Let's actually go here and reverse this. Here we have a large variety of modes: Pro, Pro Video, Single Take, Night, Food, Panorama, Super Slow-Mo, Slow-Mo, Hyperlapse. When it comes to video, we also have the Super Steady option. We will have a portrait with the lovely studio options from the flagships to apply. And well, that's about it. So I think it's time to address the gallery of the Z Flip 4. Okay, so here we are with the captures. We have plenty of them, 369 photos. And those that stand out the most are the plant ones, the roses and other flowers, which we captured using this handset with or without the bokeh mode, which actually works fine. Now the AI has improved so much that bokeh isn't obsessed anymore with finding humans. It can also be applied to objects. So I would have to say I'm pretty impressed with the bokeh, flower, close-ups we achieved here. Now aside from that, I must also say that the colors captured here are pretty satisfying, especially when it comes to vegetation exposed to a pretty powerful sun on a very sunny day. The quality of the blue of the sky is very well represented here. I would say we have some upgrades from the last year's Z Flip 3. Obviously, there are some limitations as far as the zoom is concerned. So this is 1x, this is about 2 or 3x. You start to see a bit of noise here and there. And if you go past 3x, there's a lot of noise happening here. Okay, so if you want architectural capture, we got this one here, the Romanian Parliament building and the surrounding areas. I have to say that this is quite a nice texture of the building and a lot of detail. That's one thing I noticed. Since the sensor was swapped with the Galaxy S21 main one, I have to say that the level of detail is quite impressive if you zoom and crop on your PC. And this is the ultra-wide capture, fitting the whole building in a scenery without distorting too much the edges or messing with the colors one bit. Okay, so selfies, yes, we also have those. Things are about 85% the same as last year. However, I found something interesting here. The focus seems to be a bit improved. The details and the texture of the face are spot on. So if you're aiming for nice selfies, you can definitely take some with this phone and even use some as your avatar. Now, once again, the flowers are the standout point of this analysis, but we also have wider sceneries to look at. So let's check them out. Like those ones here from the park. This one is pretty impressive actually. It's wallpaper worthy. And if you notice here, it was a pretty sunny day, but I don't see any overexposure or oversaturation, which is something that the Z Flip 3 ran into every once in a while. So that's nice to see. I would put the quality of this capture, color-wise, detail-wise, and also focus-wise, pretty close to what the Galaxy S21 achieved with the main sensor last year. And the ultra-wide camera is also not too shabby. These are daytime captures. Let's talk about low light. Okay, so this time there are improvements which are more clearly seen compared to the Z Flip 3. For example, on the Z Flip 3 we had huge halos radiating with spikes around the light sources. This no longer happens here, at least not with the main camera photos. The ultra-wide photos are a bit hit and miss every once in a while, but the main camera is definitely solid. This is an ultra-wide shot. As you can see here, there's a bit of noise and a bit of lack of clarity. But if you're using the main camera, even without the night mode, you'll definitely be satisfied by the large quantity of light captured, the way the light sources are handled, and the color calibration. Once again, with or without night mode, I'm happy with the results achieved here. And there's definitely an upgrade compared to the previous model from last year. I know the ultra-wide camera isn't satisfying, but the main one is so much that it actually compensates for the other one. Okay, now since we have 41 videos, it may be easier to navigate between them by simply using this app here. So let's check them out. We have quite a few clips where we walk around and test the stabilization, but this is one of the better ones. So we're walking on a bridge and the stabilization is actually excellent. We even did a comparison by using the Z Flip 3 on the same bridge, and this one handled it better because you will not feel the way you're stepping, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. This doesn't happen here. It did happen on the Z Flip 3, so stabilization, optical stabilization is applied in an excellent manner here. Okay, now let's find some other videos, perhaps with a bit more color this time. This is actually what appears to be a focus test, but also charged with vivid colors. Pretty nice focus here and a lot of details. But if you want more focus tests, we definitely should have more for you. This time with a bunch of roses. Quite a few videos, to be honest. Quite a few clips in this gallery. This one is pretty relevant. Alternating focus subjects in a pretty fast and snappy manner. I'm loving the colors, by the way. Most roses captured by most phones will be oversaturated when the sun hits them directly. Well, doesn't happen here. And let's see what else. I actually noticed a selfie video or two. Let's see this one here. It's captured with this mode. It's good enough for a YouTube short, maybe a reel, maybe a TikTok. It's actually vlog worthy. Look at the texture of the forehead and the hair, and the way the background is slightly blurred behind the character, my colleague who did this video. Another focus test, also fast and accurate. And we have more videos, but the core idea is this one. Things haven't changed that much from the Z Flip 3. I mean, it's 85% the same, but stabilization has improved. That's the thing to remember here. And this is the low light video. Now, considering it's very dark, not a very well lit area, and we're walking, it's actually not a bad clip. I know that the lights here are a bit too big for their own good, and the fact that there's quite a bit of noise on the sides is a definite drawback, but I think that it's not a bad video for a foldable phone. I would put it in the league of a wannabe flagship rather than an actual flagship, and I would put it below a Galaxy S21, I'd say. But for a walking video, it's actually not that bad. Okay, so you get the gist of it. Improved colors, improved stabilization, and I would say an upgrade in selfies compared to last year. And now we move on to the connectivity. Now this phone can use a nano SIM or you can use an eSIM, and you can also have 5G connectivity here as well as Wi-Fi 6. We also have an USB-C 2.0 port at the bottom. We have Bluetooth 5.2. It's also available here. We have NFC for payments. We got GPS, GLONASS, Galileo, BDS, and well, that's about it as far as connectivity is concerned. The calls were pretty loud and clear, although this speaker at the top didn't quite impress me in the music. And when it comes to the speed test, we have a few surprises here. Prepare to be shocked by some of them. So if you go here to the results, you'll notice that on 5G we reached 909 megapsecond downloads, which is crazy, and it uploads 139. We're doing fine in 5G. In Wi-Fi I expected a bit more, to be honest. 688 or actually 696 tops over 744, which are download and upload respectively. With the connectivity out of the way, let's talk about the software. And in the current case, we are dealing with the Android 12 with One UI 4.1.1 on top. Okay, so let's get the basic out of the way. We got this news feed here. The leftmost home screen is dedicated to the news. Then you can pinch the screen or keep it pressed to trigger the wallpapers and styles. And by the way, you have the color palette here, the Material U from Android 12. You can extract colors from the wallpaper and also do some customization. These are the widgets, which are a bit more detailed now and more filled with useful information once One UI 4 arrived. If you swipe down, you're going to be treated by quick settings and the notifications. You got link to Windows here to connect to your Windows PC and see your notifications and calls there, and also drag and drop some files, but we don't have support for DeX. Now, you can see here the recents for your multitasking needs. You can do split screen, and you also have the edge bar with these apps here. So if you want split screen, that's just one example of doing those. So there's a video at the top and there's the web browser at the bottom, and that's one example of doing split screen on the device. Now let's get things going. It's a special phone, it's a Flip, so let's see what the external screen has to offer. The Z Flip 3 had 5 widgets, this one has 10. And before that we have the always on display option here, as you can see for yourself. Then we have a music player, option 1, weather, alarms, voice recorder, timer, this is the calendar, and then let's see the other ones. Okay, so calendar, then we have the smart things, you can activate scenarios, and here we have a list of contacts to call, and this is the schedule that you have on a day, and then we have Samsung Health with its steps. Now, if you go to the main area, here we have some quick settings, and also in the main area, from what I know, you should be able to do, to see some notifications here, and of course, you should also do some Samsung Pay things. If you double press the power button, you'll trigger the camera interface, as you can see for yourself. And if you double tap it, you should be able to change the camera viewfinder. If you tap it, you should be able to take a picture. And you can alternate between cameras and options with swipes. Now, that's about it as far as the external screen is concerned. It received more feature, it basically doubled their amount. And this being a Flip phone, you also have the flex mode, which applies in these apps. So let's say you're in this photo here, you do the flex thingy. Now, if you're doing some editing, you're going to have the options for editing at the bottom and the content at the top. That's what the flex mode is for. It's more versatile, doesn't require to have the phone folded at 90 degrees. Could be anywhere between, I don't know, 35 or 75 degrees, and you can do your thing. Gallery is just one example. You also have YouTube for that. So if you're watching a video, let's maybe try one of our own videos. This one here. Okay, so this is the clip. The clip is at the top and the comments are on the bottom, so you can keep watching the clip as you post and scroll through comments. But the list goes on and on. You can apply the flex mode to the camera as well, like I'm doing right now. The top half will be the content and the bottom half will be the options, and you can also reverse them. You can also force this mode on third-party apps by using the settings. And aside from that, we have the usual Bixby experience. And if you go here, you're going to find the typical Samsung apps. You have smart things to control your smart home setup. You got Samsung Health. You got the Bixby Assistant. You also got the Microsoft Office, OneDrive, LinkedIn, and Outlook. Of course, the Google Suite is present here. Plus, we also have the note-taking application, which can be, well, synced to a bunch of other devices, and you can continue working on your tablet or on your PC. Okay, so I think that about covers it. So you can also do a bunch of tweaking here, as you can see, for the, let's see, the actual external screen. This is the cover screen area, and these are all the widgets you can use. The list is much larger than the one from the previous year. You also have your clock style here, which can be synced, by the way, to the one of your Galaxy Watch. And this is the customization area. You got biometrics and security. Right now I'm relying on my fingerprint. If I use this finger, I'm not unlocking the phone. If I use this one, I'm properly unlocking the phone. And I also have my face register for a faster unlock. I would say that a fingerprint scanner is pretty snappy. This is the privacy area. I can see all the permissions granted over the past 24 hours. And when you're accessing the microphone or camera, you're going to be seeing a symbol here at the top, letting you know about it. Now, I think we've covered basically everything, and gamers will be happy to know that we have a game launcher with all of their required options and profiles and whatever they desire, plus a bunch of extras. When everything's said and done, I think it's time for the verdict and the pros and cons for this petite phone, petite when closed. On the pro side, we got a powerful CPU inside, a jump of 3 generations from the predecessor, a very bright screen, it can reach a crazy 900 lux units when exposed to the sun. It's hugely comfy when put in your jeans pocket in this format, which you can see here. It's an IPX8 certification for waterproofing, and it's got an improved main camera compared to last year. It's got the sensor seen on the Galaxy S20 and S21. The battery life has grown by a few hours, and the bottom speaker is actually pretty solid. I actually enjoy listening to music and podcasts on it. The cover screen has received more features. They're double now, double the amount compared to the predecessor. And aside from that, we also have the flex mode, which lets you split the screen in two and perform a bit more multitasking than you're used to. It's a cute phone, particularly with this matte approach and the bespoke and the extra colors, and it's got fast connectivity. I was particularly impressed by the 5G one. Now on the cons side, not hugely impressed by the top speaker. Also, there's no charger in the box, and the charging via the USB-C 2.0 port is rather modest, rather slow. When filming, I actually noticed here and there the fact that the quality wasn't exactly on par with other 2022 flagships. It's more like 2021 or even 2020. I would also have to say that the ultra-wide camera is pretty weak during low light sessions, and there's no zoom. We don't have that, we don't have a telephoto camera. The main screen is protected by a plastic cover, which some nails may scratch, particularly the ladies with their bedazzled long nails may tend to scratch the screen. There is no support for DeX, and the crease is still visible and easy to feel in certain angles, as you can see for yourself. Now, in the end, this is a fashion phone, even though it's now more mainstream on account of the fact that, just like its predecessors, the price will drop very fast. Now, the good news is that it also makes the format more mainstream. People are more accustomed to it, and I think it's now a more worthy purchase than the Huawei P50 Pocket, even though the camera may be inferior in some regards. And at the same time, I feel it's a solid rival for the Motorola Razr 5G, but let's see the new Motorola Razr, which would be coming soon. Now, I'm happy that the battery life has evolved. I'm happy that we have the strongest CPU on the market right now. And I'm also happy that the phone has a flat frame, which makes it easier to wield. That's the biggest improvement in ergonomics I've seen over the past year on a foldable. It will be a trendsetter phone, an influencer phone, and its elongated format is definitely tailored for TikTok, Shorts, Instagram Reels, and so forth. Now the camera feels more like a close-up affair and a food photo affair rather than a traveler's affair who requires zoom. Keep that in mind. It's a pretty good looking phone with a lot of performance and a battery bump, which is just what the people require. And the cover screen gains extra functionality, so it's definitely an upgrade from the Z Flip 3, and the price is expected to drop. If you like the format, it's a phone for you. If you don't like the format, well, expect more foldables in the future to get to you, because that will be the cool new thing over the next years. That's pretty much it from gsno.com. Hope you enjoyed this review, and be sure to check out our channel and website soon. Goodbye.